Hey there folks, Chuck here. Just a quick note about today's episode. You might notice that there's only two of your favorite podcast hosts on this show, and there's a very good reason for that. Mark and Kimber welcomed their first little bundle of joy into the world this week, and we are all so thrilled for them. Mark will be taking some time to get to know his new little addition and all the stuff that comes with becoming a father. So, please, all right. Hey there, folks. Chuck here. A quick announcement before today's episode. You might notice we're one host short today, and that is because Mark and Kimber welcomed their first bundle of joy into the world this week, and Mark is taking some time to take care of all of the many, many things that need to be done that come along with having a baby. So please leave your comments and congratulations to him down below. I'm hoping he'll read them. I don't know if he watches the shows that he's not on, but if he does, it would be really great for us to, as a community, send some congratulations his way. Now, that means that Mark is going to be out for a little bit, but don't worry, David and I are still here. We're still going to be posting every day, and we're still working hard to raise 24,000 cars for kids in need with drivendreams.org. So check the link in the description for that, and stick around because we got a really interesting episode about a really cool event that's coming this year, just in a few weeks. So, without any further ado, on with the show.
You're watching Diecast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Hey there folks, Chuck here, and welcome to Diecast Breakdown. I am so excited you're here. We've got a really cool show lined up. We are going to be talking about another event that's happening in our community that I think is a really important one, and it's great for those of us on the East Coast especially. There's a lot of really great stuff happening on the West Coast. This is going to be something that's going to be happening on the East Coast. So coast to coast, we'll have the most this year for Diecast shows. But before we get into that, I want to thank our executive producer level patrons. That would be First and 64th Customs, Video Geek Productions, TWYCE Diecast, DrivenDreams.org, and, of course, our honorary executive producer, Mr. Dane Self. Thank you so much to those folks and all our patrons who make the show go. If you want to know more about making the show go, you can visit diecastbreakdown.com and click on the little Patreon link. That'll take you to where you can support the show there, or you can click the little join button down below. And, of course, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Check out our other videos. We've got a lot of really cool stuff here. David's got a brand new news episode that's coming up real soon. We've got shorts, we've got customs, everything you could think of about Diecast community. We're talking about it here on the Diecast Media Network. So hit subscribe, stick around, you'll like what you see. All right, well, now we got that out of the way, I'm going to be introducing my co-host, Mr. David Johns. David, how the heck are you today?
I'm doing good, Chuck. No place I'd rather be.
I couldn't agree more. This is a wonderful time to be in the Diecast community, as a little bird keeps telling me, and this is yet another reason. We are joined today by Mr. Hal Davidson of Festival Factory. Hal, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to have you on the show today to talk about Matchbox Con.
Yeah, well, thanks. I'm excited.
Let's start kind of at the beginning. So, what is Matchbox Con and how did you come up with it?
Matchbox Con is the Diecast Collectors Convention that's open to the public. And we're going to try to attract families here in Maryland at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds in Gaithersburg, Maryland, March 23rd and 24th. Saturday is 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday is 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We already have collectors coming in from 7 different states. We have about 60 tables. The great thing about this building is it's got 4 huge rooms in it. And I couldn't believe it when the people that run the place said, we're not going to use the other rooms when you have your show going. I said, well, that's pretty good of you. Why? They said, because you might expand. So they're leaving all this room for the future. I can see one room being one thing, another room. I don't think a lot of different types of toys are represented right, but mainly die-cast. There's so many different types. and the different scales. And then a guy calls me the other day with all this Tonka stuff he's got. I said, well, it's metal. Bring it. So
Absolutely.
I'm looking for diversity, kind of a festival of diecast amongst a lot of people trying to get in more families. A lot of our marketing is towards kids. Would love to see the fathers bring the kids, the grandfathers. People say, well, it's all computers these days. I don't agree. It's because they're not being shown how cool these things are. I mean, what kid can refrain from Googling all these in fantastic vehicles that were made? I mean, the amount of inventory that Hot Wheels and Matchbox has made. I mean, I'm a collector that's been trying, but now that I see what a daunting task it is, I'm just picking the best stuff. And that's what this office represents. I'm up to about 900 pieces. I've got a lot of legendary pieces from the 50s, and I've got brand new stuff that I won't take out of the packages. So this show is meant to be an annual event for Matchbox, Hot Wheels, Corgi, Greenlight, whatever you've got. If it's die-cast, I want you to bring it. And if you don't have a table there, bring it anyway. Maybe you can trade or sell or buy on the floor. We don't have any restrictions. It's a very, very friendly industry, and we want to make sure that people feel that when they come to Matchbox Con, because just about every guy, I went to the Chamber of Commerce, I had to join them in Gaithersburg, and every single man in there started telling me a story about the metal cars he had when he was a kid and how he wants to come to the show. He thinks he might be able to dig a few of them up, and everybody's got a story about their Matchbox. For me, it was 1964, 65. I think it was right around the Beatles or right after it. And I went up to Corvettes there in Baltimore County, where I was from, and I bought my first Matchbox. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I had about 20 of them when I was finished. I do remember they were 49 cents each, and I just was amazed at the Corgi. Corgi had its own special plexiglass case, and I'm looking at them, and they were $5.95. And I'm like, God, if I could only get enough money to buy one of those, the 007 car, the Aston Martin. But those thoughts are in my mind from when I was a kid. I think any red-blooded American boy remembers those thoughts, and we need to bring it back. Just having these conventions and shows, in England they call them fairs, for old guys that have their basement full of. I mean, kids would love this stuff, especially since you can get into collecting pretty cheap. Granted, they come into Walmart, they wipe it out, they put it on eBay in the afternoon. But if they would just learn how valuable these are at our age, and they buy them now, they're going to be worth a fortune, because this industry is only going to get bigger because there's only going to be more people. So it's got to grow. Like your podcast is growing. In 3 years, your podcast is probably going to have thousands and thousands of people. So I hope to pull our weight in this area. And we're promoting pretty heavy in the southern Pennsylvania area, all over Maryland, northern Virginia, and a little bit in New Jersey, since we've got Everett up there with his Matchbox Road museum. I don't know if you've ever been to that thing, but that's a mind blower right there. 60,000 pristine pieces in museum style behind his house. I was just flabbergasted when I saw. So I'm not trying to be a collector. I'm trying to be a show producer that happens to collect. So there's a difference. I don't sell. I never sell. I just buy, and I appreciate them.
Well said.
We'll be back with more Diecast Breakdown after this word from our sponsors. Legendary Hollywood concept artist and designer Fireball Tim Lawrence has created 3 exclusive pieces of automotive art based on the 3 hosts of Diecast Breakdown. Get these and other brilliant designs printed on mugs and more at fireballtimgarage.art today. Diecast Breakdown would like to thank Diecast Heroes Magazine for supporting this program. Diecast Heroes Magazine is the premier digital and print resource just for diecast customizers. Visit diecastheroes.com and see what the best customizers in the world are up to. Here's this week's small channel shout-out.
Sub plein beau d'atae.
If you have a favorite Diecast channel with less than 700 subscribers and you'd like to see them highlighted on a future episode, email us at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com. And now back to Diecast Breakdown.
And you know, Hal, to your point, Chuck, what's that figure that Mattel throws out for how many Hot Wheels collectors they think are out there? And we're talking about just Hot Wheels.
They Mattel put out this. It's a couple of years old now, but they said at the time, I think it was 2021 or 2022, they said that there were 15 million Hot Wheels collectors around the world, and the average collection size is 1,500 cars. That's the average.
I heard they're selling them in 183 countries. Did you hear that number?
No doubt.
They're just about everywhere. Doubt. We just had some gentlemen from Sri Lanka on that have a magazine, Cast Heads magazine. That Diecast is huge over there. We've had folks from Indonesia. It's huge in Indonesia, all over the place. I love your enthusiasm for this, and I think we've kind of already covered this, but you know, Matchbox Con is not going to be just about Matchbox, but it's an interesting name. So why did you pick Matchbox Con, and what is the plan with that festival in the future?
I picked Matchbox Con because of me. And where I was in 1965, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Say, Matchbox Con, because I've got the names Metal Toy Show, but comparatively, it's not Matchbox Con. It just rings, and they're letting me do it. And I own Hot Wheels Con too, so I don't know if Hot Wheels Con would be a separate show, or I don't know. I just feel like the two should be together. I don't like segmenting them out. I don't think that's the way to handle the industry, because some of these guys have a little bit of Green Light, they've got a little bit of Johnny Lightning, they have a little bit of M2, and I invite all of it to this show. So Matchbox Con was just a way to come up with a really familiar name, since I didn't have a brand yet. It hadn't happened yet. So how do you get a brand to be as familiar as possible? Try to use a familiar brand in the name. But I'm not sure about the future as far as this name, because I do feel that we're alienating some of the Hot Wheels people. I know that some of the Hot Wheels Facebook pages will not let us on because of the name of the show, which is weird. But they're really, really, really
some of them are very particular.
Their allowance. Yeah, very particular. And I appreciate that too, that when I deal with buying things and talking to people, everybody is so meticulous on every detail, and it's everybody. I think that's really to be admired, that they want to know what the condition is, and they look whether it's got pinched wheels and, you know, what it says on the underneath. A fascinating industry, but the knowledge of some of you guys, I couldn't hold a candle. I'm going to be into shows and that end of it. And you guys can be into the being experts at collecting. I just am learning along the way. It's fun, though. It really is a fun industry, because even if you go to a show and you buy something good, you might spend, I did spend $50 on 6 pieces because I really needed them so I could take pictures to get into the vintage Facebook pages. They won't let you in with modern stuff. So I've had to become different kinds of collectors. And I've got some really nice pieces. I think my favorite is the 62 to 67 Sunbeam Chrome motorcycle with the Milford sidecar.
Look at
that beauty. Look at that beauty. It's all chrome. Is that nice or what? So I spent $50 for this, and it's got a box. And a lot of guys wrote to me that said, hey, I got the same thing. The problem is my seat fell out. I said, well, you got to use a little bit of Elmer's in there. So it's not a permanent glue, but something just to hold it in. But I noticed in there, quite a few Matchbox things that have those kind of seats or extra pieces, like the tires that come off. You got to use a little bit of Elmer's glue is the best way. But I think it's my most admired piece there. It's pretty cool.
Don't touch the dial. Diecast Breakdown will be right back after these messages. Diecast Breakdown is produced in partnership with TWYCE Diecast and Driven Dreams Org on YouTube. Check out their channels in the video description and subscribe for more epic Diecast content.
Hey, this is Larry Wood.
This is Derek from Honest Diecast.
Hey, this is Chad Reed from Round 2.
This is Mike from Gaslands.
The SRT Jovita Show.
This is Champion DJ K.
This is Mad Vision here.
This is Diecast Dude.
And you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now, the thrilling conclusion of this week's episode of Diecast Breakdown.
Well, personally, Hal, I love the fact that you're going to have different brands at the show, and you you're inviting all brands, because the way I look at it, it really isn't a competition. It's a celebration of all things diecast. So
A celebration of everything diecast. That
there
is
you
really
go.
well said.
So what else? What else can patrons of the show expect, or is there going to be other toys, or are we talking exclusively diecast cars?
Anything metal. I don't want any plastic in there. It's really going to have to be metal. But there are some guys bringing Tonka, some larger brands. As long as you're polite enough to ask me, bring it in. And we do have, this is hilarious. My system does not check people before they sign up. I just allow them to register. We've got Robert Kennedy is going to have some kind of a display there. He bought a space, and I'm not even.
Oh boy,
I'm letting him in. So you see how reasonable I am. But he's the only thing that has nothing to do with diecast. I said, do you at least like diecast? He goes, yeah. I said, because anybody that buys a booth, I'm not going to tell them, no, you can't buy the booth. I'm going to give them your money back. I think that's kind of hard. But next year, we're going to make sure everything's 100% in the industry. And as I was telling you before, the building has space to. A lot of diecast guys are very, very careful because people have done shows before and promised a lot. And they're very concerned that you're going to have people there to show. And they're comparing my show to a small little thing they do in a Holiday Inn. And they're looking at the spaces are $150, which I lowered the price dramatically. We're in Montgomery County, Maryland. This is a very expensive place to produce the event. And you would typically, as a promoter, pass those costs along to the vendor. But I couldn't do it here, or they wouldn't buy any tables. They're so used to getting tables for $5 or $20, maybe $50, that, $150. But meanwhile, I give people deals. I want good vendors. So if you're a vendor out there and you want to come to Maryland, and I understand you have extra costs in coming here, although there are a lot of hotels in the immediate area that are very reasonable. And we do have 40 RV spots with hookups. So if you want to come and enjoy the place, free parking, open to the public, I am going to get you an enormous amount of customers. We're going to have a big crowd. I'm doing a lot of marketing. I'm doing marketing like I would do one of my concerts or festivals. So the vendors should not be concerned. One thing we are going to have is a lot of people coming there. It's only $12 for an adult to get in, $5 for a kid. And if you go online to Matchboxcon.com, you get $2 off. So what's not to like?
Right.
I don't think we can really make money on the first one because we have all these first startup costs. I believe in running a first-class event. But my job and what's happening is we're having a lot of vendors from a lot of areas in the periphery of this immediate area. Like I said, Southern Pennsylvania, Northern Virginia, Delaware. We have one from Michigan. We've got two from New York, a guy from New Jersey. My job is to make them happy. So when they leave, they get on their phones and start texting everybody. You wouldn't believe this show. We had a lot of people. So it's really a convention of diecast enthusiasts unbridled. I don't have a lot of rules. We'll be giving away some stuff, but people can come and go. The tickets are good for 2 days. And we're making them as cheap as possible considering the expenses we have to put on the event. Nothing's inexpensive anywhere, but certainly to get an 8,000 square foot building in Montgomery County is not cheap. But it's a joy. Yeah. It's a joy to put this thing on. It's not like putting on a concert where you're sweating and hurting about everything and you can't sleep. I've gone to about 8 shows. Really got a kick out of the Albuquerque show. Just wonderful to meet all these other enthusiasts and just listen to the older guys, hearing them talk about all the details. And some of these guys knew Lesney, and they knew the old guys in England, and they knew Fred Bronner, and they talk about him like, really? So, I'm talking to legends in the industry, and I think these are the good old days, even though I know it all started in the 50s and 60s. I think now is when it's starting to explode, and we're only seeing the beginning of what can happen in this industry.
No, you're right. You're right.
Hot Wheels has a touring show now. They just had it in Falls Church, Virginia, which is a high income area. And it's got racing in there, and they got characters in there. I really don't want all that in Matchbox Con. Matchbox Con is a gathering of all die-cast and metal toy collectors. That's all it is. And there's nothing wrong with being simple, because the idea is for us all to come together, and for all these clubs that are out there singularly, they really need to join up and come to these shows and support them. I'm supporting them. I put a lot of them on the bottom of my website. They need to support us. And we all really need to stick together, because it's a very tight universe in that we're only talking about diecast, not the whole world. And we really love particular things about it. That diversity is what makes it really cool. I'm into construction, military, and Corvettes. That's my big thing. So anyway, that's what Matchbox Con is coming up March 23rd and 24th, Montgomery County Fairgrounds. Real easy to get to off of 270, I-270. It's just 15 miles north of Washington, and real good strategic location. There is no fair. There's no fair on the fairgrounds. It's just our show. So you'll have plenty of free parking there. And we have Trippy's Taco Truck. So I got this truck personally because I like their cilantro on their tacos, so they'll be there.
So you can come and go. The kids, the moms and dads, they don't have to worry about buying a ticket and spending 8 hours inside to get their money's worth. They can leave, go out, take a nap in the minivan, come back, check out the other booths, get you some tacos, and come and go at your leisure.
And there's restaurants nearby, and there's shopping right on the other side of the fence. So hang out in Gaithersburg for a little while. It's a pretty cool area, a lot to do, and especially a lot of restaurants. If you like to eat, don't eat before you come, because just within a mile, there must be 100 restaurants, really good food. The taco truck is there, so I don't have to leave, and my staff has something to eat. But people go to a show. I find they like to eat. But you don't want to really have a lot of sticky fingers when you go inside. You don't want to really take beverages inside, except for your water. A lot of vendors don't like that. But we try to ask people to bring cash. We have an ATM machine. We can do a credit card. But I'm finding most of the shows are using cash these days. So when I go to a show, I just take as much cash as I can and I start buying. And that's how I got my collection together. So just got this today. Been waiting on it. The 1762 Golden State Carriage.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Let's see if we can do that.
That's a beauty.
See, through the plastic, it really kills the light.
Now, is that a replica of one of the original pieces?
Yes, it is.
From the coronation?
Yeah. It says the Golden State coach's history dates back over 260 years, when it was commissioned by George III in 1760 and first used in 1762 for the state opening of Parliament. And 1953, this is the one from 1953, Queen Elizabeth's coronation, that Lesney made.
Yeah,
Lesney sold millions of the scaled down 4.5-inch all die-cast version of the Gold State coach. Fascinating.
That's Matchbox history right there. That is one of the first few pieces.
This thing.
You're obviously very passionate about this as well. I'm curious, because you talked about this a little bit, but I'd like to explore this more. You have a background in putting on shows. So this is not just somebody saying, hey, I want to do a show and figuring this out as you go. You have quite the storied history when it comes to putting on events. So could you tell us a little bit about that history and what you're using from that?
1973, my mother was working for an ad agency and asked me if I wanted a job working with the circus. The circus? The Ringling Brothers? Yeah, we need somebody to take Gunther Gable Williams, the advanced clowns, the smallest clown in the world, Mishu, and the biggest clown in the world, Buttons, around in your Cougar. I just bought a 1967 Cougar, and I drove him around and got a taste of the grease paint, was backstage in the Baltimore Civic Center, and that was it. I was smitten. Well, 1975, my mother remarries a man from here and moves to Las Vegas, and she calls me and says, Hal, we're in Las Vegas. Would you like to come here and live with us? What time's the plane leave, Mother? So I was in Vegas, and I was able to raise some money. and I came back to Baltimore. I didn't promote out there. I got the money out there, and I started promoting small concerts in 2,500 seaters. Thin Lizzy, Golden Earring, Leslie West, The Original Spirit, Niels Lofgren, just class. These tickets were $5.50, $6.50, and $7.50 back then. So in a sellout, you really could only make 1,000 or two. And there I am in my friend's apartment in January 1976, the bicentennial year. And I said, you know what? There's got to be a celebration. There's no party planned. There were no festivals in 1976. All there was Elton John touring with Dave Mason in stadiums. So I took the money I had that I made and I borrowed a little bit more, and I came up with the name Stompin 76. And August 6th, 7th, 8th, 1976 in Galax, Virginia, I produced at age 20 Stompin 76, which was the biggest bluegrass music festival in American history. We had Bonnie Raitt, the Dirt Band, Earl Scruggs, Lester Flatt, Doc and Merle Watson, Vassar Clements, the Dillards, John Prine, John Prine, Ry Cooder, Red, White, and Bluegrass, Osborne Brothers. I mean, they were all there. And there would have been more than 150,000 people, but the roads were backed up 11 miles to the interstate. My customers are parking on the interstate and walking in. So that was my introduction to music festivals. And keep in mind, I'd never done a festival and really didn't know what I was doing. So this is ingrained in my mind. And then after that, I moved back to Las Vegas, became a stagehand there. I was a stagehand at Elvis's last two shows at the Hilton. I think it was 1979. You didn't party with him. You moved the cords around. You got to look at them. But these shows were after midnight. I remember that because they brought me there to break up ice. There was an ice show, and he sang on that stage just like an hour after they broke up the ice. And then after that, I became director of promotions for 4 casinos in Las Vegas, Sassy Sally's, Golden Goose, Glitter Gulch, and the Coin Castle on Fremont Street. And then moved back and forth between resort marketing and entertainment marketing, but I've always had my foot in festivals, not concerts. I'm really not a concert guy. The bands, or in this case, Taylor Swift, gets all the money. The promoter really can't make money in Live Nation can, because they own all the venues and they own the acts. But for an independent promoter, the easiest thing, if you've got millions, is to do a festival. So I have a couple things lined up. In the next year or two, I'm trying to get the funding to put on Stompin again. The 50th anniversary is coming up, 2026. That would be in Tennessee. We've already got the venue. It's 1,000 acres. It's north of Chattanooga, out in the woods. It's a beautiful place. And what's really amazing about the county that we're in is that they don't even require a permit for music festivals, which is just a little bit different than California, which there's 11 regulatory agencies. I'm pretty expert on that. So anyway, did all this stuff over all the years, and I'm in between festivals. I do consult on them for other people, and then I'm starting to see the Barbie movie, all this energy on Hot Wheels, on these TV shows, these Sunday night toy shows. I'm seeing personally a lot of activity on the internet. Marketplace is just blown up on buying and selling. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking maybe I should get into this. So I started going to a couple of shows, checking it out. And I went to the Montgomery County Fairgrounds, and I saw the room, and I said, this is the room. It's the right room. When you promote things, when you're standing in the right venue, you can feel it. When you walk in, or you are putting on a festival, you can look at the land and feel it, because you put yourself in the place of the customer. Would the customer like to be in here? Yeah, it feels really good. There's probably been 100,000 events in that event since the 1950s, but the room is still intact. It's got heating and air conditioning, and the parking is right there. They don't have any curbs. There's no cement. It's just everything is in the wide open area, and it's just so unusual for this overly built up Maryland, Virginia area. So we've got the concert and festival element in these shows, in that I'm not promoting it like most of these other small first-time shows are promoting. I put about $18,000 into the marketing. We're really heavily embedded in Facebook, but we do print ads locally, because I know families are looking at these ads, and we're going to be doing cable TV when we get closer in. When you do a trade show, typically you don't advertise on TV until the week of the show. You got to get people excited for this weekend. So the RV spots are there. Reminds me of a festival. I would hope that one day all 40 would be filled, and I'd come out there late at night. People are partying and looking, trading their toys and looking at them. But that's just my vision of what it could be. And if I keep promoting it and doing it every year, there's no reason to believe it would not become what I envision it to be. It's not that big a deal. We're not putting on Woodstock. We just got a toy show here. We just got to get people comfortable with the fact it's okay to come into Maryland and come to a Diecast show. Yes, we actually have one now. Now, Timonium does have a very good toy show in the spring and the fall. It's a pretty big event. They've got about 15 Diecast vendors in there amongst their huge number of vendors. And I hope that more of those guys from Timonium. Towson is a part of Baltimore County that is about 45 minutes north of here. All brands are going to be welcome at this event, unlike other events. And we need to break the wall between Hot Wheels and Matchbox and make everybody feel like, wait a minute, we're all one. It's all owned by Mattel. And I think a lot of guys that are into Hot Wheels end up buying Matchbox because some of them are pretty darn cool. I mean, they're not like the old frumpy ones. I've got some really nice Matchbox here. A lot of really good stuff. I'm a Corvette guy, so here's a really nice Corvette from
a
number
Premier
of years ago.
collection's always a hit.
Yeah, very nice.
Anyway, so I suppose Matchbox borrowed a little bit from Hot Wheels when they basically were going out of business in the 90s. They tried to get hot, and they brought in games and put stripes on their cars and everything. They still couldn't keep up with Hot Wheels, of course. They had gotten such a jump on them. And then, of course, Mattel owned them both by 1997. Doesn't Mattel own Corgi as well?
I believe there was an acquisition of that because there were some Corgi Juniors that made their way over to Hot Wheels in the 90s. There was a Buick Regal casting, a Mercedes wagon, a Fox body Mustang,
Mercedes.
There was a Ford Thunderbird.
They still make that stuff?
Not the Corgis that became Hot Wheels. I think Corgi still exists sort of as a collector's line. I think there's somebody still licensing and making some replicas of the old stuff, but it doesn't exist as a toy manufacturer that's coming up with new things. So
this is my favorite. This is my favorite Corgi right here. There you go.
Oh, very cool.
That is a Bell CH-45 fire department helicopter from the LA Police Department. It's all metal, and it's my second to the favorite piece. It's heavy for a little thing.
It's weighty, yeah.
I can't get the camera zeroed in. It's the opposite from where you want to move it. There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed is how easy you can find information about Matchbox Con. Can you maybe run through viewers that are watching this, if they are interested in making that short drive to Gaithersville? Is it Gaithersburg? Tell them where all they can find out about Matchbox Con.
Go to Matchboxcon.com. That's the best place. Matchboxcon.com. And if you want to email me directly, it's matchboxcon@gmail.com. And I tell everybody, you're absolutely welcome to call me at any time. Even tonight, you want to call me? I'm in Maryland, Eastern Time. That's 240-848-0889. And I work 7 days a week. I pray on weekends as well, but I pray while I'm working with my Matchbox.
Never slow down.
Matchboxcon.com. Everything is on that website. Maps, how to get there. It shows you which spaces are still available. We've got 14 spaces left out of 65. So we feel pretty good. We're going to fill them up. And if you've got a financial issue, I want you to talk to me about it, because it's not that we need you to buy the space retail. The fact is we need you there at any cost. I'm willing to wheel and deal if you're a good vendor and you've got a really nice inventory. Email me, text me, and I'll cut you a deal. I don't mind. I've done that for a number of people that were concerned about their cost coming there. And I said, fine, let's wheel and deal, because the main thing is we want good quality people that really know the product.
Sure.
The wonderful thing about going to these shows is it's hard to find a collector that doesn't have an enormous amount of information. So if you want to learn about the industry, you want to learn about Matchbox, all the other brands that are going to be there, and there's probably, it seems like there's at least 15 brands that are active, 12 to 15 brands. There's guys expert in all this stuff, and they'll evaluate if you bring a little toy there and you want to see if it's worth anything. I mean, don't bring anything from Walmart or Target. It's still only worth $1.18. You got to wait a few years at least and leave them in the package. But these experts will share their time and teach you. And if you are looking for a particular model that you may have seen somewhere, they'll find it for you. I've got a couple guys that tell me, Hal, anytime you want to buy something, you let me know what you need, and I will track it down and get it. And they do. I've got some marvelous little pieces over here, the little tiny ones that actually used to fit in matchboxes. They're the coolest ones.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can email me, matchboxcon@gmail.com, or go to the website, matchboxcon.com. You're seeing this on Facebook, right? Are you hearing about it?
I get the ads for it. I without even the prompting, I've been getting ads on Facebook for the event. So that's very cool. I'm really excited about events like this because one of the reasons this show exists is to promote ways for people to enjoy the cars that they have and to grow their collections and find cool things to do, to get out of the house, to interact with others. And so I would love to see at events like this, people doing the tabletop games that use custom diecast cars like Gaslands or Car Wars, where people will take cars, customize them, and they'll play them on large tabletops. You could have like a tabletop area where people are hosting games. You could have a drag race area, someone setting up tracks, because the racing diecast cars is still very much a thing, even for kids and adults. And everyone loves that. Everybody loves getting their car out and putting it on a track and seeing how fast it'll go. So those could do that next
year, possibly.
Yeah,
that's a good idea for next year.
Those are some ideas, and there are things that are starting to show up at some of the other shows, and it's absolutely something I think needs to happen at these, because you once you get the cars, you want to, if you are the kind of person who opens them, you want to do something with them. And so there's going to be at events like this, people selling lots of loose cars. There's going to be people bringing their own customized cars to show off and sell. And so to have ways to engage with that. And we've had several people in the third party community that are making parts for customizing, that are 3D printing parts, or making laser cut wood kits, decals, those kind of things. Like, have those kind of vendors there. Those kind of things would do really well. I could absolutely see that. And we're really excited about the show. We're really excited. I think David might actually be swinging by there, I heard. So we'll actually be covering it.
I'm going to try.
We're gonna do our best to cover it. Hold this space and make sure everybody subscribes so you can see that footage when it comes. But again, Hal, thank you so much for being on the show today. We're going to have all Hal's information that he shared down in the description below, or in the audio description if you're listening to us. I know at least 5 of you are. It's actually more like 500 now. We just hit 500 downloads a month on our audio side, which is great. So thank you so much for the people that are listening. And of course, the people watching, wherever you are, thank you so much for being here. Thanks, Hal, for being on the show. Again, we're really rooting for you. This sounds like a really cool event. We're excited for what's ahead.
Well, people are going to come together and make new friends. That's the main thing, is making friends in a field that you enjoy, have a similar interest with somebody else. And that's what you're going to find. A lot of camaraderie, a lot of friendly people.
Exactly. Our significant others can only handle us talking about this for so long. So it's great to have some other like-minded people to talk to. So that's really exciting. And again, thank you to everybody who is listening and made it to the end of yet another episode of Diecast Breakdown. Again, shout out to our patrons who make the show go. If you want to join their ranks, you can visit diecastbreakdown.com or click the little join button down below. And while you're down there, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, ring that little bell so all the cool stuff that's coming up next. We are posting something new every day in 2024, and we've made it halfway through February, and so far so good. So we're doing our best to keep the cool stuff coming. So be sure to stick around, check us out. Everybody who's visiting for the first time, thanks for being here. And as always, we want to thank you for coming along with us for the ride. So until next time, Stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thanks for listening to Diecast Breakdown. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend to listen in. Find Diecast Breakdown on your favorite social media platforms or visit diecastmedianetwork.com to learn more about this and our other projects. Diecast Breakdown is a presentation of Flying Valiant and the Diecast Media Network.